Our story begins on Wednesday, the 28th of August 1833, when slavery was abolished everywhere, except in territories ruled by the East India Company. It was then that an Irish doctor, named William Brooke O'Shaughnessy, decided that the world was porous and riddled with invisible arteries that only he could see. Even as slave owners were being paid compensation, as if freedom was an infringement that had to be reparated, William sat in a garret overlooking the Hooghly River and pondered the arterial conduits of trade and commerce that had washed him like an errant corpuscle upon the... Yes, and propelled by such sanguine visions, he percolated into Hindustan, soaking through barriers of Bengal and Orissa as an assistant surgeon, seeping into Bihar as an opium merchant, diffusing across the Malwa landscape in search of ore for the mint, and permeating into history with his telegraph wires. From pharmacology to the galvanic cell, William used every science known to man to piece together a country that baffled him and threatened to close its paws against his probing investigations. Yes, I am getting to that. 10 years into this project, William O'Shaughnessy found himself in the desert of Toke, along with a grand caravan of miners and salt merchants, looking for veins of copper. No settlements punctuated this land except the strange scaffolds built by nomadic barbers who eked a miserable existence here. The desert, which began north of Mutsiapur, infringed into the territories of Sindh with an unnerving abandon. No delineations marked this border, and in a country that was slowly being distributed into small containers, this was indeed a strange place. But O'Shaughnessy, to whom the world was porous regardless of where he might be, could see naught but fissures and crevices in this land, holes in the earth that leaked its minerals like open wounds. And here, amidst meager deposits of salt and copper, he discovered a deep fissure full of bakelite. So verdant was the find that within a few feet of digging into the crust, the small nodules of bakelite gave way to crystalline obelisks and protrusions of diodes and receivers. Within 20 feet, deposits of complete telephones started to emerge from the ground. Indeed, rich were the mines, but this verdant find was located in that part of Toke which was deep within the independent territory of Sindh. Though this might not have been evident to O'Shaughnessy at the time of discovery, it was certainly clear to the head assayer who had procured a remarkable map for this expedition. I cannot tell you what this realization led to, but suffice to say that the head assayer was a distant cousin of Charles Napier, who called his illegal annexation of Sindh that very year
a noble piece of rascality.
With possession of the mines now secure, William O'Shaughnessy embarked upon the greatest mining endeavor of 19th century India. Teams of workers were conscripted and local barbers coerced to dig the first exploratory shafts. Teakwood trunks from the Wasta forests were dragged like a giant caterpillar, to be hewn into shacks and offices, and to shore the mud and rock of the tunnels being dug. Geologists, cavalrymen and medical practitioners, telegraph operators, wiremen, electricians, bankers, hostelers and camp cooks, entertainers and crooks, all descended upon the site as the first tunnels were inaugurated. Of what use are exact dates and years? Does it not suffice to say that observation decks and elevator shafts were built, great rotating wheels were erected to pump air into the mines. For one whole week, a train of camels unloaded brass lamps from the ore that was stored in a newly built warehouse. Clothing karkhanas were set up that worked tar soap jute into hard shoes for the miners and made cotton scarves for the supervising Europeans. elephants were shipped to the inhospitable desert at great cost to help pull and tug the telephones from their phonic bed. Yes, the people, the well-mining crews from Srinagar and Burma, from Ceylon and Hampi and Kadirmuga, started to descend upon the settlement, and were readily hired. Abutting their mine shafts, there erupted countless hovels of worker colonies, or what were to be later William O'Shaughnessy, who was appointed Director General of Telegraphs for his discovery of the Bakelite pits, received a knighthood in 1866 for the telephone mines. And though he left the town a little after its founding, he gave a name to the settlement, calling it Telephone Nagar. And with newfound prosperity, there appeared like a tide of locusts hordes of officers and revenue clerks, managers and traders, accountants and munshi, members of that peculiar race who speak both Firangi and Hindustani. A race of administrative service officers, the lower magistrates and the adjunct collectors. Indians who had been trained abroad for just such tasks of collating the whims of change. This new and formless settlement attracted them, this absence of discrete boundaries. Where else could you live in such proximity to the British, the Dutch or the Americans who worked alongside them? Where else were you allowed to so clearly see what being an equal might be like? Not that they were equal. Perhaps they were foolish. But remark these men, for they are crucial to our tale. It was these men, these officers of the company, who on a borderless land, discovered a finite margin. For it was against the nebulous assault of yes, Iqbal the barrister, Iqbal the revolutionary, Iqbal the unfortunate, or, simply, Iqbal. He came to this town riding a roving tide of humanity and attempting to efface the terrible years he had spent at Hertfordshire, before being appointed the administrator of the Ambrose Shaft, the deepest active mine at Telephone Nagar. Save for his morning rounds, Iqbal rarely went to the actual mine. The rest of the day he spent in the cavernous records hall, maintaining a careful roster for the teams under his charge. It is the same hall that you haunt today, turning such records as have survived into paper planes in your boredom.